Hey, I'm Marina.
And I'm Emily.
And I've seen everything in the Sex and the City empire 10,000 times.
And I'm starting fresh.
So I'll be woman-splaining the show.
And I'm along for the ride.
But there's a twist. We are starting with And Just Like That and working our way back to the beginning.
So in other words, we're watching it backwards and in high heels.
This is City and the Sex.
Wow, that was like 3 in 1.
I went aggressive. I couldn't commit, okay?
Okay. Okay. All right, we still have a lot of episodes to go.
I know. I just burned 3 out of the can. I'm sweating.
I know. The more you commit to this bit, the more stress that you seem under.
Nothing is better than starting a podcast episode in absolute panic. Most people are like, welcome to our podcast, cool and calm. And we're like, and that's what I like about us.
We just started raw and just uncurated. It is kind of like a weird theater exercise that you have created. You know, the way that you start and you're like, everyone do like a siren, like, woo! It's like that. It's like, you're just like, I'm going to just lay it all out here and just immediately rock it up to fight or flight. And then, and then I'm ready to go.
Well, all I can say is that every theater teacher I've ever had should be proud. So.
Yeah, this is exactly what they wanted for you.
This is an episode dedicated to our teachers.
Pay them.
No hate to teachers. We actually do love teachers. I feel like I have to put that caveat in now.
Marina, you don't even have to. Everybody knows that. Everybody can listen to this and know.
And know
that we were friends with teachers.
Yes. Yeah.
Like we visited them, first break after college. Yes.
Yeah. And they didn't remember us back, but we then recounted to them everything about us. And they patiently sat and listened to it.
That was us. You're not surprised.
Well, welcome. We are on season 6, episode 13. Ooh. This is called Let There Be Light. So, Emily, what was your one word to this start of the final stretch of Sex and the City?
My one word for this episode is Google.
Yeah. And guess what? It looked bad back then. I hate to say it.
Yeah, it has improved. Well, the aesthetics have improved.
Yeah, it definitely looks, I hate to objectify. I was about to say, I think it definitely looks prettier now.
You hate to objectify a search engine?
Yeah, and then I took a step back and I said, watch your damn language. She's smarter than she was before. She's a leader.
She's a leader.
In search engines.
In fact, she gets regularly sued for her leadership qualities.
Exactly.
She is Mrs. Monopoly, and you will put respect on her name.
I stand formally with Google. This is my statement. My one word is it's fall, bitch, because
yes,
this episode is like an advertisement for autumn in New York.
Yes. At
the time of our cinematic filming of this podcast, it is fall, and I felt like, it like ushered me into the season in a very unexpected personal way. It's insane how beautiful this episode is.
Fall is my favorite. I love it. I know it's a super basic thing to say, but I'm like, you know what? I'm a sucker for it. I'm a sucker for the autumnal whatever. Give me cinnamon, give me pumpkin spice, whatever. I don't care. I love fall. I also just fucking love fall in New York.
Yeah.
And just, it's perfect. There is like nothing more serotonin like inducing than just a walk in Central Park and the leaves are, that is like my peak happy place. That is my dream picturesque New York. So this episode was like for me, just like so much scenery porn, made me so happy. I loved it.
Yeah. Fall in New York is really like, you might have felt low in summer because it was too hot, or you felt low in winter because it was too cold. But when fall in New York hits, you're like, I did do better than everybody in my high school class. and then a little devil is like, but Marina, they also moved to New York. And you're like, shh. I'm not thinking about They're not here right now. It's only me.
Yeah.
Yes.
I love this subplot that you've created now. It's not just like, I moved to New York and I'm superior about it, but it's like, your other classmates are here too. You're just trying to ignore them.
Yeah, they're not here. I don't see them. They're gone. Well, let's get into it. Season 6, episode 13, Let There Be Light. Well, we open on Carrie at home, and she starts with a voiceover. Single girls can spend their life looking for the perfect male while she sifts through the mail. Get it?
I did get it because the subtitles on Max spelt it M-A-I-L.
Hell yeah.
All right, good work.
Good work, Max. But she gets a little adorable stationery from Alexander Petrovsky, and it's like, would you like to go for a walk? Hot.
We love it. And he puts his phone number, his 212 number.
Oh, love it. But then we cut to Carrie on the most scenic date with Mr. P. Petrovsky. We learn that he has ghosted her for 3 weeks after their very hot date that we saw in the last episode, because he was in Holland. And Carrie's like, oh, the land of the wooden shoes. And in that moment, I realized, like, God, what I would do to just ask Carrie to point out European countries on a map.
Oh, that would be a fun game.
That would be a good, that'd be a good, Wired video.
Yeah, Carrie Bradshaw. That's actually a really good whole collection of bits. Write this down, Marina. We're going to do all of the, typical press junket things, but as Carrie Bradshaw, not SJP.
Oh, God.
Carrie Bradshaw, Google's most answered questions, for Wired. Carrie Bradshaw Architectural Digest tour. Carrie Bradshaw 73 questions.
Oh my God! Can I just say, I don't know why Michael Patrick King and co have not woken up to this as promo for And Just Like That. That is a genius promo idea. But he brings her chocolate, and I love that he's like, "Do you want light or do you want dark? It's in my pocket." Because sometimes Michael Patrick King can have a very deft hand at the symbolism. And then sometimes he really feels the need to let you know that this is the symbolism of the episode. You know what I mean? So the chocolate, light or dark? Which one? So many choices. It also is about life. Did you know that? I do love that she then explains to him what a cartoon is. She's like, oh, it's you're going to be a mousetrap in your pocket? And he's like, no, why would there be? And then she's like, in cartoons where they have these mousetraps in their pockets. And he's like, okay.
Yeah. In Mr. P's defense, I also was not following what she was saying. When she's like, better not be a mousetrap, I too was also like, come again?
Come again?
She's like, you don't know this because you grew up in the Soviet Union. But here we have things called cartoons.
Cartoons.
They're designed to make us laugh.
It's there is something charming to the effect that they are just not from the same planet in any way, shape, or form. I am buying a little bit the premise that he is an alien looking at her, trying to study the contemporary woman. That's what it feels like a lot of the time.
Yeah.
But I dig it.
This isn't to say that I like Berger as a person or a character more than Mr. P, but Berger, I think, made more sense to me in the I see why these people are dating, and I see why these people are developing feelings for each other. And then with Mr. P, it's I can kind of see why Carrie's developing feelings for him and sort of mystified by him, but I'm sort of puzzled. His worldview is just so different.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm so fascinated that she has captured him in this way, but it's fun to watch, so I don't really mind that much.
It's fun to watch. Well, the one thing that we know for a fact they have going for them are the sexy times, because as she's eating the chocolate, he goes in on that neck and they make out very intensely in a park. And I love the children sounds that they have pumped in for the joke that she will make later.
Yeah.
But the sounds are of children screaming, and they don't sound like fun screaming.
They're at a theme park.
Yeah, it's children going through something on the other side.
One of them fell off the bridge and is in the Central Park river.
Yeah, and the turtles are attacking them. And
yeah.
Carrie and Petrovsky just gotta keep necking.
Yeah. Now, honestly, he's a little turned on. He's like, suffering. Yes.
Suffering. I can identify with that. But then we take a hard pivot to fragrance.
Yeah. All right.
And the girls are trying different perfumes. And Carrie admits, ladies, I'm taking a lover. And she says it like that.
Oh, God. It's painful.
Yeah.
It's so painful. It just, this is peak annoying Carrie for me is I don't know. I don't find this cute. I just think it's fucking annoying. I'm swearing so much already. I'm so sorry. I don't know.
No, I'll say in general, there's something about this episode in particular where I find Carrie pretty annoying. I feel like somebody told Sarah Jessica that, like, because Petrovsky's so sift, you have to, like, turn the humor up, you know, to, like, highlight the contrast. But sometimes when she turns the humor up too much, it, like, trends into being slightly annoying.
Yeah, it's the pardonnez-moi, like, kind of.
Yeah, exactly. I do love Miranda here being like, wait, the old guy?
Very funny.
Incredible. Carrie's like, no, he's not old. And then she describes how, like, their chemistry is so intense that they almost did it on a bench, but, you know, in front of children. And I love that Samantha's like, well, what stopped you? And she's like, common decency. Okay, Carrie. See, if you were a sex columnist, you would have gone for it, but whatever. And then I like that they come up with this, like, thing that's like, well, I couldn't have sex with him because I have to get my bikini waxed. Which, like, fair, right? I'll speak for myself.
Yeah.
I've been in that situation before where maybe, you know, I was like, oh, I could do something, but let me get my best form, in my porpoise era.
I just feel like a person of Mr. P's stature and sort of level of emotional intensity. I just don't think he'd care that much. You know what I mean? There's, like, something about this that feels very sort of young. And I wonder if that's kind of on purpose almost. Is like Carrie's kind of like, woo, fling, I need to be waxed. And Mr. P would be like, I'd not even sort of notice. You know what I mean?
You know, I wish this would have been a good this would have been a good episode for that. Because I think if anything, he's probably a bush guy. But that would be an interesting thing to explore. Instead, it's just to, like, set up some jokes later, which, like, ugh. But
disappointing. Yeah. This is, I can't remember if you said it, but this, oh, sorry. You just froze. Oh, am I interrupting you?
I'm not saying anything.
Okay. You, like, froze and then came back and I was like, I can't tell if you're mad at me for interrupting you or you froze.
Oh, I'm very angry when you speak over me.
Get irate. Podcast is supposed to be me listening like a good co-host.
You sit there and you listen, you say nothing. And I say all the words, and that's how a podcast works.
I'm so sorry.
The girls continue to kind of, you know, sample the perfume with each other. Samantha has a great, in reference to Petrovsky being older, they've been around the block. They know how to use their cock line. When can I say that? And then Carrie kind of explains that she thinks Petrovsky is going to stay in Lavaville and not become a serious boyfriend. And her reasoning for this is that because half the time she doesn't even understand what he's saying. Again, I just want to see her point to Russia on a map, you know? I just want to see it.
I mean, because remember, I think last episode she picked up the phone 3 times and hung up on him.
Yeah, for sounding like a foreigner.
Look, if it's not Paris, she doesn't care. She's like, it's foreign. I'll never understand.
I don't get it. I do love that they spray the perfume and then all 4 of them lean in to smell it together. And then Miranda has nice things to say about Steve, saying he wears nothing and smells great. Sad.
Oh, Marina. This was a hard
episode.
This is I'm hanging on by a thread.
Ooh, well, we'll get into it, which is that Miranda and Steve get in the elevator in their home. And Steve turns to Miranda and he's like, how lucky are we? And they go in for a little kiss. And you're like, I hate this on so many levels. Knowing what's coming. And just like that has ruined the scene for me.
I know.
Cute And now it's terrible.
And now it's painful. Like, we can't even go back and enjoy this anymore. It's just painful.
It's just painful.
I'll never get to think about that. I'll never get to watch through these scenes and feel the giddy joy that you felt when you first saw these scenes and saw them get together. I'll never get to experience that about this relationship.
I'm sorry I've done this to you.
You took this from me.
I'm also very not sorry I did this to you.
My suffering for content.
But you know, I've by breaking you, I've made you stronger.
This is all training.
Yes.
This is my villain origin story.
Yes. You know, I'm the Ra's al Ghul of the training camp.
And you're my dad.
Yeah.
I'm telling you.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
As we've... that was inevitable, is for you to be my dad.
Yeah, our podcast is not besties energy. Our podcast is father-daughter energy. And it alternates who is papa and who is not papa. You know what I mean?
Yeah. We were like, can I be papa for a second? And then we just like...
and then we do some schooling and then we go back to eating chips on the chair. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, God. The dream. I'm getting teary-eyed thinking about it. Well,
Papa.
I'll take Papa now, yes.
Yes.
Well, Dr. Robert Leeds gets in the elevator. Awkward.
Of course.
Speaking of villainous Papa, he gets a completely villainous turn here to be like, well, isn't it the happy couple?
Yeah, it's kind of an interesting episode to watch him where he was clearly cast as like a different character. Do you know what I mean? Like, he was cast to be charming, to be very pleasant, to be very personable. And like, he's trying his best but the script, it's just too dramatic a 180. And he's like clearly not, you know, it's just like, it's so goofy villain in a way that it's hard to like take seriously.
You know, we questioned him at first when we were like, God, he really like moved into her life, but he's like so attractive. We're not paying attention. And then like this episode, in one way, I resent the way that they just like take him to Looneyville and he just like changes personalities and is like erratic in a way that does not jive with the way he was. But on the other hand, it kind of explains everything. What we need is the episode from his perspective of this, where like Miranda dumps him at the birthday party and then he just like smokes a fat one and then goes on a rampage. Which like honestly, like I have been there as well. You know what I mean? Like go off. But also like
go off, gang.
Because the way that he's acting, I agree, is like again, does not align with his character in any way, shape, or form. And you're right. It's the writing team being like, well, now he's got to be weird. So we got to make him weird. But you've cast someone
which I get it.
Who is too flawless and too perfect to be weird. So the whole time I'm like, oh, God, are you okay?
Right, exactly. Like, I'm very sympathetic here. I'm sad for him and I hope he's happy. Well, we know he's going to be happy, but anyway. You know.
First of all, he should come back in and just like that in some way, shape, or form.
Yes.
I think that would be incredible.
Okay, him and what's her name?
Karen Pittman.
Yes. She needs someone who's like fiercely attentive.
That's true.
And like incredibly aggressively supportive. I need to hear off screen that like they met up and they're hanging out.
I agree. And he's cool and he's fun. But yeah, you know, he's passive aggressive to them in the elevator and it's awkward. I mean, I'll say this. The man bought into a co-op. You don't sell a co-op easily. So,
yeah, that's true.
Like, you do just have to deal with this forever. Rough.
Yeah. That's true. He can sublet it to me if he wants. I mean, damn.
I mean, I'll sit there and I'll look at his plants.
Okay.
Okay. I'll also be naked while I do it.
He's like,
who said that?
If you insist.
Who said that? In that case, he's Papa. Anyway.
No comment.
Enough said. So we cut to Charlotte Anthony walking and talking, and she's like going on about how she has to wait 2 months before she tries to get pregnant again. Anthony's like, I'm sleeping, I'm walking. I'm sleeping, I'm walking. How am I doing it? And it's like, ugh.
Again, it took about halfway through this episode for me to really get back on board with it. But there was a lot of, I was like, this is just, you're either being annoying or nasty. It's like just a lot of these. I'm seeing the foreshadow of And Just Like That in under the currents of what's happening in Carrie's dialogue and Anthony. It's just mean. And I'm like, I don't understand what this scene is. It's just...
Fall makes people catty.
Is that's the point of the scene?
I think that's the thesis.
Okay.
They claim the thesis is the light or the dark. But the thesis is really, when the leaves start changing, so does my personality. And I become either crazy or mean.
Yeah.
And get with it.
I just lose all sense of self. Okay.
Boom, gone.
I do like, I like that this scene does have a moment where he's like, look at those lights or whatever. And they look up at the like light coming through the tree. And I get that it's like, it's the light versus the dark. But I was just sitting there being like, oh, so pretty in New York. You know, it's just like, oh, it's so pretty.
I agree. But I also had this thought where I was like, is Anthony not the last person to like be present and be like, look at the light?
Oh, hard agree. Yeah, that is, speaking of out of character.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, everybody is not in their character lane in this episode. Because, like, obviously, yeah, it's a beautiful shot. It's making the point that we have pointed out, which is light and dark. Did you hear it? I said it. But I was sitting there like, Anthony's the last person to be like, let's be present in this moment.
It's true. He doesn't even deliver it the way he does the other line. So he's like, look at that light, like angrily.
And then... God. Lamaze. Charlotte sees a blind man and is humbled by his blindness so much that she decides to volunteer for the blind.
Michael.
I can like hear the like distant echoes of And Just Like That. You know, like widow wand.
Yeah. Yes. It's like the bit we're gonna get to later once again is just not worth
it's not worth it, and it's not funny.
Yeah, it's like we had nothing.
But then we cut to Carrie getting her wax. I know, okay, let me just start by saying I know the scene is supposed to be funny. I know the scene is supposed to be put up for laughs. That's why she gets a full bikini wax with one leg up at a 90-degree angle while still wearing her high-heeled shoe.
Yeah,
two things that do not happen literally ever. And also, let's think about that bikini wax for a second. It's not effective.
Yeah. No.
And also, it's another level like the blind situation where it's like inappropriate. Like she just starts her wax appointment, turns to the lady and is like, are you Russian? Which, like, I get it. A lot of Eastern European end up in the waxing business, but like aggressive. Aggressive. The woman's like, yes. And then Carrie's like, I have a question. The woman's like, it is going to hurt a little. One good line. And then Carrie's like, how do you say, you know, thank you in Russian? And the woman's like, spasiba. And then the woman like pulls a strip and then she's like, spasiba. And then she ends the scene by being like, hoo-hoo-hee, ah.
Yeah, it's like, it's too much. It's I don't know who's, these jokes are not for me. I just don't get it. It's like hitting the same joke 40 times in a scene. It's just too much.
It's too much. Burn it to ash. That's all I have to say. Then we cut to Miranda, who's taking the stairs because she doesn't want to bump into Robert in the elevator. But the problem is that Robert had the same idea and he's also on the stairs. Uh-oh. And he does the correct thing, which is that he just tries to shoulder past her and keep moving. And then Miranda decides, no, I'm going to say something. And so she's like, I'm sorry, you know, Steve and I just fell in love again. And like, if I had known that was going to happen, I wasn't going to date you. And he kind of goes on this whole spiral where he's like, what, was I your little halftime show? She's trying to bridge the gap, but he's not in the mood because, as we said, he took a big fat one before the scene happened. And he's like, well, she's like, I hope you understand. And he's like, well, I hope you understand when you get my bill. And she's like, what bill? And he's like, for services rendered. You know, you wanted somebody to cook for you, single mom. Well, then you got my fast food. You wanted somebody to fuck. Well, there I was for a fast fuck. And she's like, that's not true. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know why I'm giving her this voice, but I am. That's not true. I don't know what you're talking about. And then we like take a turn where he essentially reenacts her during sex out loud.
Yes.
It is so aggressive and in your face, and it is uncomfortable. I mean, if somebody did that to me, I would be uncomfortable.
It's like horrifying. It's so dialed up. I get it. He needs to like rocket 180 really fast, but it is like alarming, this scene where he's like using her words during sex back at her and then like physically kind of like mocking her. In his like with his hip movements and everything. He's like gyrating on the banister. It's like incredibly juvenile and incredibly horrifying. And what's also weird is that Miranda doesn't really treat this as the crazy thing that it is. She goes back to Steve and isn't like, well, he's off his rocker. You know, she was like, oh, I felt so bad. I almost gave him my baby. You know, it was like, what? You know, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, they want to set up the joke at the end that like she's convinced that he's in love with her and he's not. But I don't think that bit really works here.
I think what you just said would be great is if they set it up for this reveal at the end. So if he like does act really like pouty and hurt, and then like Miranda's like, oh my god, he's so hurt because he was so in love with me, whatever, and then you have this big reveal at the end where it's like, oh no, he's like in a threesome and he doesn't care. You know what I mean? It's like,
yeah, exactly.
Then it's a joke, but it's like there's so many other kooky, crazy things happening that I'm like, I'm not following the plot anymore. You know, I'm kind of checked out a little bit.
Yeah, I think they had too many ideas, and then they all threw them at him in one scene. His character just needed more time. Pour one out. Rest in peace.
Rest in peace, Dr. Robert Leeds.
But as you said, she goes back into the apartment and she's like, oh, he's crazy about me. And, you know, I gave him custody of the elevator. And Steve's like, what? I have to move in tomorrow. And he's like, well, how bad was it? And she's like, hug me. And then they hug. And then we end on this very awkward button where she's like, you should have seen him screaming about how I never had anybody that deep in me. And poor Steve is just like,
obviously hurt.
Obviously cuckolded in his own home.
Yeah.
Like, this man already saw you two have sex. Let him live in peace. Let him live in peace.
Too many ideas.
Too many ideas.
Leave him alone.
Too many ideas. But then Carrie and Petrovsky meet up, and she's clearly, you know, trying to impress him. I'll say this whole scene, start to finish, is a weird beat. That's I'd couch this whole scene. Because they walk in, then he's like, this used to be a sweatshop or whatever. Love that.
And she goes, oh, that's a lovely story. And that was the first giggle from me for this episode. Was
the first genuine cackle. My first genuine cackle is when they get to like the big windows in his apartment that are like huge and beautiful, and he's like, this is the window or something, and she's like, oh yeah, I guess they're nice if you like that whole window sky thing. And then he's like, yes, it is lovely in the morning. And then there's just the longest pause, and then they just turn and like walk away. It's just like, was that banter? I don't even fucking know.
It feels like you took like two AIs and you're like, it's like a Furby or Alexas or something. You know, it's like you put them next to each other and you're like, have a conversation.
Yeah, exactly.
That's kind of what their dialogue feels like to me. It's like always a beat behind and like just kind of not the right response. I interpreted it to be like they don't really care what they're saying because they're just ready to book.
Oh, okay. That's also true. That's also
you know
true.
What I mean? They're like, that's a nice window. Yeah. Well, it's like when you get to like you finally get to your hotel, you know, you're with your partner, you know, you're just like, you're tired, you drop the bugs, and you say like, this is a nice room. And you're like, yeah. And then you jump each other's bones. It's like, you're not really that impressed by the room.
That they do the slow sex that we witness.
I don't think I've seen a sex scene like this so far on this show yet.
That's
like,
true.
I feel like the sex scenes we've seen so far are very, like, you jump right in.
Yeah.
Like, the camera cuts into the action, or it's, like, afterward. You know what I mean?
Right.
There's, like, kind of, we don't really see, like, foreplay stuff. And so I liked it. I thought it was sexy.
You're right. This is definitely the most sensual of what we've seen, for sure. It's all sexy in the dark, but then in the light of day, Carrie wakes up and he leaves her he's like tuxedo mask, like leaving her little notes everywhere. Like,
yes, he is. Oh, I love that.
He like leaves her a little note that's like breakfast with like a little goofy face. I'm like, this man is trying, and I appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like,
yeah, and he has nice pens. Like, he has nice penmanship. He's
absolutely.
got a pen,
and he's
on
like
him at all times.
He's a touch of the vampiric, but
yeah,
he's winning me over. He's winning me over with his little goofy little drawn faces and
with his Riddler notes
and his little Riddler notes. What can I say? You know,
yes,
boys, pick it up, figure it out, get some fucking stationery,
practice your handwriting,
practice your damn handwriting, because we know it looks a mess, and write me a little something now and then. Put a little goofy picture of a turtle. Wake up.
Yeah, put a goofy picture of a turtle. I remember someone sent me a gift once in the mail, and it was like a nice gift, and they texted me the gift was coming, and then inside the gift they also put a note. It was a very simplistic sort of like, hi there, I found some things that made me think of you. Hope you like them. You know, it was super simple. And like, fellas, I like half remember what was in the package. I remember the note. And the note was on the fridge. Like, the note was the thing.
And like,
fellas,
doesn't have to be more than 5 words.
No.
You don't have to be a Shakespeare. You don't have to be fucking Chaucer.
I was more charmed by the things that are literally just sort of like, hope you like them.
That's it. That's it. I'm talking 4-word sentences.
Yes.
I'm not talking fucking Moliere with fucking rhyming couplets. I'm talking about 4 sentences.
And you're good. You're golden.
You are cool. Hope you like it.
Yeah.
See you later.
Yeah.
The panties are dropping. Figure it out.
Exactly. What more do you want? We're just giving you the keys to the kingdom right now.
Men are like, it's so hard. I'm like, actually, I'm asking you for 2nd grade language skills.
See you later. Hope you like them.
Thank you. It's chow time.
I'm Papa.
I'm Papa. I mean.
That's the note you're leaving.
For you.
Yeah, when I wake up.
Yeah.
We're in your apartment and I wake up. That's the note on the pillow. And
yeah.
It's just, I'm Papa, smiley face.
I'm Papa.
It's haunting. It's haunting.
So, as we said, she comes down in, you know, one of his button-up shirts and her little underwear and is surprised to find a horde of employees who are yelling in different languages.
Do we ever get, like, a hard explanation who these people are?
No, he just says, like, this is my staff. Like, without them, I would be on the street, like, making street art or something.
Okay, very dramatic.
Very
I just want to know what their job title is. This is my assistant. This is my lawyer. Just tell, you don't need to be like, I'd be on the streets.
I don't know, but what I do know is that I love the way that they don't give 2 shits that Carrie's there. Like the way that he's like, everyone, this is Carrie. And they like look up and look at her and then they're like, okay. And then go back to typing.
Go back to work.
Incredible.
Very funny.
Incredible. And I like that sassy middle one. The like middle-aged woman who's on the phone just screaming in French. I don't know what's going on, but she better work for me.
I want to work for her.
Sign me right up. But he serves her pancakes and then he's like, I wrote down he doesn't eat because he's a vampire and also he has to go to Amsterdam. I was like, that's a perfect cover for why he can't get that pancake.
You clocked him. That is so true. Amsterdam, quote unquote. Yeah, right. You mean like the coffin in the basement.
Exactly. That's why he's traveling on these long trips, because he's drinking da blood.
He's drinking da blood.
Da blood. But Carrie walks and talks with Samantha and is like telling her about the pancakes. Samantha kind of admits that she's a bit jealous of the situation that Carrie's in because, you know, she's like with an older man who's like making her pancakes and giving her the like capital W woman treatment. And while Samantha is happy with Smith, she says, I don't know whether to blow him or burp him. Oof. Oof.
Bad. I don't like it.
Oh,
I'm so uncomfortable.
Stabs in my heart. But Samantha kind of implies that Petrovsky has probably made pancakes for other women and is probably making pancakes for women around the world, and that, you know, this isn't his first time around the rodeo. And in classic Carrie fashion, she's fine putting him in Lovaville, but the second she realizes that he might be fucking other people, she doesn't like it anymore. She wants him to be with her.
Yes, correct. You have nailed it exactly.
Well, I don't want to be in Lovaville anymore.
What? No.
I see you.
I see you.
I see you. And then she goes columning, and the columning is unhinged. Like, she just launches hard into that spiral. Like, first of all, she starts by Googling him. Google.
Oh, yes. Google.
Hey.
And we saw some shots of really pretty shots of Google scrolling, of a camera looking at a computer screen while we watch her scroll through the Google page. Looks gorgeous. Also, some of those web pages, can I just say, I can't remember the name of it, but the one that's like, so like the world of Petrovsky or something. It's like some weird fan page. Incredible. Outstanding. It's like the background is, it's like a gradient background, like very kind of like 90s Microsoft Word art vibe. And it's like the women of Petrovsky. And there's like just a bunch of clunky images of models and then like walls of text, because this is an experimental artist that has so much like acclaim and renown that someone has made this really clunky word art webpage and purchased this domain and is like, I'm going to make worldofpetrovsky.com or whatever it's called. It's amazing. Outstanding. Rachel, if you're listening, I think you should make this, honestly. I want to see worldofpetrovsky.com.
I honestly think she did make it. She was 6 years old, just clickety clacking it, being like World of Petrovsky. .net. No, it looks like thousands of websites that I bookmarked in my lifetime.
Yeah.
About other weird interests and obsessions that I had.
Yes.
That are like janky HTML websites where the pictures are never like put in a way that makes sense or looks nice.
No, they're just like somehow janky on the screen somehow. Yeah. They're all different sizes. And then halfway through this montage, it cuts to her going back to Google and she types vampire and hits enter. And a page just is the cold one.
The cold one.
It's like Pacific Northwest.
And then she's like, I'm not writing that column. I'm writing a column about how when you have sex for the first time, chemicals can release in the female. She gets very science. Suddenly she gets her science degree.
Very weird.
Yeah, very strange. She's like, at times, like, chemicals can release. I'm like, Carrie, you don't know what chemicals are.
Yeah, I don't.
You can't point out to Holland on a freaking map. Yeah, she like goes off on sexual bonding. I'm like, you're wearing arm warmers that are like tie-dye.
Carrie gets access to Google for one day and immediately goes into like eugenics.
Yeah. That's what happens.
Race science.
It happens to the best of us.
It's a dangerous world out. The more you know. Stay off the internet, kids. Moderate your use.
And then she ends on this final rhetorical question, which is, when it comes to men, even when we try to keep it light, how do we wind up in the dark? It is the most unhinged column I think we've had in a while. Like it's just
like, what is she saying? Yeah. What can you imagine? You pick up your copy of, what is it? The Morning Star, the Daily Star or something. And you're like, all right, here's my Sunday. I'm going to enjoy the fall weather. I'm going to go out to that cafe on Amsterdam Ave. I'm going to sit outside because it's kind of nice. I'm a little hot, so I have an iced drink. I'm near the park. The leaves are turning. Let me open up my Morning Star and flip through it. I'm so glad I'm in New York. I'm doing so much better than my classmates. let me see how this is, relating to my life today, Carrie Bradshaw. And then you open it up and women release a hormone after the sexual reproductive process. And this is why I can't help but wonder, when we try to keep it light, we end up searching in the dark.
It really is a case study for how the internet is anti-woman and will break you.
And will send you off your rocker.
It will send you off your rocker.
It's like, what? Carrie? I can't even be like, oh, this is so unrelatable. I don't know what the thing is.
I don't know
what
what
I'm
I'm
saying?
connecting to. Yeah, she's just...
Too much Google.
Too much Google. Too much Google.
It's bad out there.
But we cut to Smith and Samantha. Smith has basically been invited to a 30 under 30 party, and he's like, do you want to come? And they've clearly given another man who goes through a 180 this episode. They've given him the direction that's like, you're a little boy. When he has clearly been Papa this whole season. He's been Papa this whole season. He has been telling it like it is. He has been spitting the truth. He has been wise beyond his years. And they're like, this episode, you baby.
Yeah, you baby, and you do baby thing. Like, the way he moves is different. All his little weird mannerisms they're telling him to do. I mean, this, again, it is exactly like, I see what you're going for, but if you just slap on a 180 onto the character, it's hard for me to, like, buy it. I'm like, Smith is not a child. I get the self-consciousness of, like, having a younger partner that Samantha's feeling. But it's kind of too complicated for a 20-minute episode of Sex and the City to get into super fast.
Yeah.
So instead, we're going to make him act like he's in 6th grade.
Yeah. Exactly. It's like, I think they could maintain his character integrity and do this episode, which is like, I could understand being in a situation where it's like, you want to be taken care of, but she's taking care of him, right? Like, you want a big fancy man with a jet to, like, shower you in diamonds. And, like, Smith can't necessarily do that, not because he's, like, poor or anything, but because he's like, that's not the way he is, Like, I feel like they could have gotten into that, but to your point, I think it's like too nuanced to take for the amount of time that they have. So it's gonna be about picking noses. At first she says, no, I don't want to go to that party. It sounds like a children's thing. But then she notices that the invitation is from Richard Wright. We'll get more into him later. But because she sees that name, she decides to go. So then we cut to Charlotte at kind of the volunteering center, because she's volunteering to be a guide for the blind, which, again, I just don't think she realizes is like a full-time job, but whatever. We're here for the comedy, I guess, ? And I love that the woman is like, okay, why don't you get some familiarity with the idea of being blind and go to a park or the mall and be blindfolded and have somebody guide you around to, like, understand what it is to, like, live like that and, like, be a little uncomfortable. Then we cut to Carrie and Charlotte at the store. Not to throw Charlotte under the bus, but she chose the wrong friend to do this exercise with. We'll see very clearly why in a second, but, like, you should have known from the get-go that you chose the wrong person for this.
Yeah, exactly. Unfortunately, this is completely on you and was avoidable. Here we go.
Yeah. Carrie basically is explaining how she was chill about the whole thing, but she's not chill anymore. And then she just goes, okay, let's get blind. At that, I'm not putting a blindfold on. For me, I'm going, yeah, no, I was wrong to choose this friend. I'm going to go
Actually, let's just go shopping, Carrie, and I'll do this with Miranda.
Or fucking anybody. So then Charlotte puts on her Burberry eye mask. Incredible.
Yeah, thank you for noting that. Thank you.
And then Carrie gets a call from Petrovsky, so she's like, stay right there. I just have to answer this. And promptly ditches Charlotte in the middle of Barney's. I mean, first of all, we watch Carrie, again, being very annoying on the phone because, what's his face? Petrovsky has bad reception. That's how she...
I love this plot in dialogue when someone has bad reception and then they, like, can't hear each other and they shout. It's like such good TV. I almost like it as much when cameras look at computer screens while you Google search things. That's like my 2 top TV experiences.
Top representation, yeah. It's just, it makes me angry in real life. Like, nothing makes me more angrier in real life than when I have to repeat myself, which is ironic because I repeat myself all the time. Okay, put that aside for a minute. Okay, we're not judging. But when I have to repeat myself, and B, like when somebody can't hear me on the phone. Ooh, so then to watch it also on TV, I'm like, why do people think this is funny? It's like chimps. Who decided this was like a funny bit? I don't get it. I don't think it's funny. I've never thought it was funny. I find it painful and uncomfortable, and it makes me irritated. Sorry.
Agreed.
Then we cut to Charlotte, like bippity boppity booing her way through the fucking Bergdorfs. What the fuck ever. But at some point she gives up, and Carrie this is now how we tie this whole plot in a little bow, so it can be done. Carrie says, there in the dark, she had no idea what or where she was going. Great. Love it. But then she sees the sales section. Great. And then Carrie has some line. I didn't write it down because I was already exhausted. And then Charlotte looked up and sees Carrie trying shoes on. I think like when people have not seen Sex and the City and they're like, I hear that Carrie is annoying. Like this is the scene you have to show them because it just encapsulates her character so beautifully, where she's like, oh, well, I thought it'd be faster if you found me. So, but what do you think of the shoes? I'm seeing Petrovsky later.
I think you've shaken your head this entire sequence.
I'm honestly I'm getting like a little bit of a headache from how violently I have to play.
I can see you're just like the light fading
from my eyes,
getting irritated. Yeah.
It's just like it's just because it's like 8 hats stacked on top of each other. Yeah. Why I hate it. And
none of them are good.
None of them are good. Like I hate this blind plot, like trying to be blind to be humble. I hate it. Then like the cell service bit, we've talked about it. I hate it. And then the like sales section, and Carrie's in the sales section and isn't so funny. And then the top cake for me of why I hate this whole scene is the shoe attendant is Andy Cohen of Bravo TV fame. Yep. Doing his best cheesy acting. This is his second appearance in the show.
Wow, you really weren't kidding. This entire little sequence is really so much. There's a lot of you can learn about MPK from just this scene.
Yes. I think this scene, I'm going to say it. I think this scene is the only scene of the whole show you need to watch.
Wow. All right.
I know that's bold, fair. But I stand by it.
I mean, but she gets everything in there in that line. You get the Charlotte kooky, you get Carrie's response to that, and I thought it'd be faster if you found me. Anyway, look, like you get all the behavior. She mentions the boy. She mentions him getting these. You have the cameo thrown in there subtly, and then you also have Charlotte do her thing where she like kind of looks annoyed that she got abandoned so Carrie could go shoe shopping. And then the minute she goes, I'm seeing Petrovsky later, Charlotte goes, aww. And then Carrie beams back at her, and then that's the end of the scene. You're right. It does hit everything you need to know about her and everything. Wow. I'm upset. I think we've just been saying the same thing back and forth over and over, and I just want the audience to know it's because we're like annoyed.
Yeah, because it's a very grating scene in an episode full of grating scenes.
It's long.
In the middle of the fucking fall. I hate it.
How dare they?
How dare they try and ruin it? Well, we cut from that to a wide shot of a bunch of Von Dutch hats. Because we are at the 30 under 30 children's party with Samantha and Smith Jared. And they're waiting in line. And Samantha's like, I don't want to wait in line. And Smith is like, well, I don't like cutting people. And she's like, ugh, grow up. But then Richard finds them. And they go to the party, and then, Smith Jared is whisked away. And so Samantha and Richard are talking at the bar, and he's like, so how long have you been babysitting? They kind of go back and forth about like these young kids. And then he says the craziest line. He's like, well, the hotel business, like I need to be trendy with the kids. So I have to tongue to taint these trendy little piss ants. I'm going to repeat that again. I have to tongue to taint these trendy little piss ants. Tongue to taint. Why is that not a thing? Why are we not on that?
He's a problematic businessman, so Marina's like, there's material here we need to pay attention to.
The problem is you and I immediately locked in.
Oh, he's a piece of shit.
To my usual, I hate him and I also admire him because...
And we're going to grow up to be him.
And we're going to grow up to become him because tongue to taint for these trendy little piss ants. Ooh, never heard a more fire line.
It is just like, it is a kind of crazy way to establish this character, and you know what? It works. I'm like, all right, I know what his deal is now. Thank you.
I know exactly.
Thank you for shouting it in my face. Yeah.
But then he tells Samantha, I lost the best thing I ever had, and ugh. But then it gets more rough because Smith Jared rolls up. And he's like putting his arm around Samantha, being like, what you guys talking about? And you can tell she's just like so irritated at him. And then these two like teeny boppy girls come by and they're like, Smith, you gotta come. Polly's snotting pretzels out of his nose.
Yeah, what?
I can only assume it's Pauly Shore. Gotta be Pauly Shore. I think that's what that is a reference to. But the point is that they're doing child thing, and Samantha, no child, she now with Papa.
Correct. Thank you. Thank you for translating that.
And so Smith Jared runs off, and you can see that Samantha is irritated. But then we cut back to Steve and Miranda, and they're in the lobby of the building with all his stuff. And as we mentioned earlier, Steve notices that the TV has been broken. And Miranda just immediately jumps to, oh, it's Dr. Robert Leeds. I don't like that.
I don't like it either.
I don't like that at all.
I'm feeling icky. Again, it's like, we said this during And Just Like That. If you had more characters of color who were like significant, then we wouldn't be so sensitive to like tiny little things like this.
Yeah.
When they happen. But because there are so few, it's like I'm like hyper aware of every little potential microaggression that happens.
Yeah. I don't care for it. Like, I like that they give Steve the lines of being like, I don't know, that seems really out of character for him.
Steve.
Like, okay, somebody's awake. Somebody's awake at the wheel.
Somebody knows something's going on.
Somebody can sense that this is wrong. But Miranda's like, you should have seen how crazy in love with me he is. And then Steve is like, that's it. I'm confronting him. Like, this is ending, here and now. And he goes up to Robert Leeds' room, knocks on the door. Dr. Robert Leeds opens. He's like putting on his robe and he's like, what's up, Steve? And Steve's like, I just got to say something about Miranda. And Dr. Robert Leeds is like, yeah. And we see like one hot woman pass. And then Steve's like, yeah, well, anyway. And then we see a second hot woman pass. And Steve's like, I'm sorry. We're sorry. And Dr. Robert Leeds could not give more of a fuck. And he's like, okay. Closes the door. Again, I think that script edit that you made earlier is just like chef's kiss, where like he should have been like pouty and weird in the hallway and Miranda should have read super into it. And then this should have happened. And I think there should have been like more women. Like, I think there should have been like a comical number of women. And then him just like not caring in a way that would have just like really sent this. Steve comes downstairs to tell Miranda and he's like, let me just put it this way. Like, he's never going to be bothering us again. And she's like, was he crazy in love with me? And Steve just kind of doesn't say anything. And then they just kind of hug it out. And then Carrie has some line that's like, Steve thought it would be better to leave Miranda in the dark. And I'm like, okay.
All right, we gotta do this again.
Whatever.
Yeah, it's my second real giggle of this was the elevator door opening and Steve's face, where he's like kind of like touching his chin, trying to think like, what am I gonna say?
Yeah.
Which I think is very funny,
Yes.
acting on his part, 10 out of 10. And also one of the funnier performances I feel like that I've seen from Cynthia Nixon.
Yeah.
I love this. I want to see more of the very kind of like over theatrical, but on the like crazy way we've talked about. I mean, just the please be kind.
Yeah.
He's in love with me. You know, the sort of like Shakespearean like tone she takes on, I think is so funny. So one of the funnier scenes, even if the setup wasn't great, I did enjoy that bit.
I still laugh every time. It still makes me giggle. And justice for Dr. Robert Leeds. This is the last time we will see him.
Crazy. And it is crazy that you introduced him to me as, oh, this is a major boyfriend for Miranda.
Besides Steve, I can't wait till you see the other major boyfriend. That's an Oh Emily moment. Gonna put a pin in that.
Okay.
But then we cut to Carrie. I want to point out something here, which is with our hat watch. Whenever Carrie decides she's gonna be Euro, she puts a beret on. So this is an Oh Emily moment.
That's true.
Like, look for the beret. It will happen again. Anytime Carrie decides I'm going Euro, she puts a beret on. Part of that I identify with. But part of it is also like, interesting. This is her understanding of geopolitics. You know what I mean?
I think Carrie Bradshaw should be a UN ambassador, frankly.
Oh, she'd kill it.
Are you kidding?
But she shows up at Petrovsky and he shows her a pair of clogs that he brought from Amsterdam. And it's cute, you know. He's a cute little man. And then we cut to one of the worst scenes of the show. By that, I mean emotionally. It's a good scene, but emotionally, one of the most devastating of the show. Here we go. I'm just going to run through it, and then we can talk about it at the end.
This is where this episode suddenly turns into a psychological thriller.
Yeah.
Like, it's so dark.
Gets very dark, and that is on theme with the thesis of the episode. See, he got you there. He got you.
Yeah, he's thinking that's 10-dimensional chess right there.
There you go. There you go.
All right, I respect that.
Well, Samantha and Richard start to run off, but Smith Jared catches them running to the elevator, and he's like, "Where are you going?" And Samantha's like, "Well, he's going to show me the new line of Premier Suites." And then Smith is like, "Can I come?" And she's like, "No." And then she's like, "Look, this has been fun, but you should play with your toys, and I'll play with mine." Devastating.
Also, for context, with he's asking to come because he's like sensing,
he's sensing.
Like, where are you going with your ex?
Yep, he's sensing,
and then she straight up tells him,
"I'm gonna do.
This has been fun."
Yeah, this has been fun. It's heartbreaking. And
just a shatteringly just cruel way to break up with someone.
We cut to this like shot of them fucking, and it is so like clinical in a really depressing and stark way. First of all, the choice to have him be like, "You know what? I've been in lows before." Like, the hotel business isn't doing good, but I'll be back on top, you know? And
talking to him, speaking of American Psycho.
Yeah, very American Psycho. As he's like behind her, you know, and they're having sex, and the way she's just like, you know, usually when we see Samantha in the sexual context, it's like screaming orgasms and goofy. Mm-hmm. So like to see this is like very harrowing. Then we get this like hard cut to her in the elevator where you can see that she's like tearing up and she's like despondent about what has happened. The elevator doors open and Smith Jared's on the other side.
Still.
So he's like returned to his character.
Yeah.
He like left and then he's like back in his character's body again.
His evil twin is gone.
And she basically like has this devastating little monologue where she's like, "I don't know what's wrong with me and I hate myself for doing this to you." And he simply just says, you know, "I just wanted to make sure that you got home okay." And you can see that like they put their arms around each other, and Carrie has some voiceover too that's like, for the first time, Samantha really like saw him, sort of thing. Harrowing and touching all at the same time.
It's really upsetting to see Samantha like this, and it's very upsetting to see her hurt someone so intensely like this. And to see, mature Jared return and just be like, I just want to make sure you get home. And it's just heartbreaking. And everything about it is like from a different show.
Yeah.
Than everything else that's happening.
Especially in this episode. Because I think there have been, you think about, we had that Charlotte episode relatively recently where she has the miscarriage and like.
Right.
It
right.
proves
Not that they don't go to dark places, but like other plots of this episode are
bonko. It's so weird that it's in this episode, I have to say. But great. I do want to say one thing before we move on. This is not the last that we see of Richard Wright.
Tongue to taint?
She says tongue to taint. She says that he is her ex. He is in other episodes in the future past. That's all I'll say for now.
Oh my God.
That's all I'll say for now.
Oh God.
So this is a great Emily moment, because I can't wait for you to remember this.
Oh no, I thought he was like a one-off. This changes everything. Now he's so much more sinister.
Yep.
Oh my God.
Yep.
All right, I take back everything we said before. He's not in our. we don't like tongue to taint.
We can't stand behind tongue to taint. That's why it hasn't taken off.
I can't stand with him. Yeah, that.
Well, then we cut to Carrie and Petrovsky post-sex, and I just love this like cut here where he's like, well, I have to go work, and then Carrie's like, I had to end it with him because I'm not that kind of Google. And I'm like, the man is next door. Okay, calm down. He didn't say get out. He said, I'm going to go work on my little light installation project.
She's jealous of his hobby.
Yeah. Put a pin in that. Put a fucking Emily pin in that, because yep, that she is.
Okay. All right. Noted. I'm writing this down. Noted.
But she goes to confront him in his studio, and as I said, he's working on a big light installation. What's it the opposite of? A dark installation. And she basically is like, I know you make pancakes for the girls, and I can't live with that. So, okay, thanks, bye. And he's like, I do make pancakes, but not for other girls. I love how he makes this joke here where he's like, although I do have a little book of emergency numbers.
Such an unnecessary line, but like, sure, yeah.
Sure.
It's not a weird, it's like a complete, people have that kind of like, yeah, I got my booty call, whatever. It's like, it's not like that's weird. It's just a weird thing to say in this scene. You know what I mean? I'm like, you guys are having a moment.
Yeah.
I mean, I do have booty calls, but anyway, I do care for you.
It's like they want to assure us that he fucks, and we're like, no,
yeah.
we
know. I got it. I saw the Google. I got it.
And I love it in his little foreign accents. He's like, no, quick bang.
Okay.
Love it. And then, they kind of go back and forth where she's like, why me? And he's like, why me? And then they just kind of awkwardly look at each other. And then she looks at the light installation. She's like, what's all this? And then he's like, it's too soon to tell. And it's a metaphor for their relationship. And that's the episode.
And they look into the light, and then it's like so strange. Anyway, all right, I got it. Light and dark. I got it. Thank you.
You're welcome. Well, that's the episode. We end all our podcasts with our high and our low, our rose and our thorn. Let's start with the negative. Emily, what was your diarrhea of this episode?
The scene of running into Dr. Robert Leeds on the stairs.
Yeah, it's uncomfortable. And I don't want to watch it ever again.
Goodbye.
For me, I'm going to do the Charlotte being blind and Barney's top to bottom, full of hate.
No bueno.
Nothing but hate coursing through my veins. what is your high, your release the Kraken of the episode?
It's fall in New York. It's just the fall. It's their outfits. It's the scenes outside. It's fall in New York. I love it. No notes.
Yeah, I'll say, although Smith does go through a personality transplant, I do really love that plot because it is one of the rare, like, not pun not intended, like dark moves on the part of the show that like is connected to the character. You know, like Samantha could and would do something like this. And I think, you know, especially after so many goofy sex scenes that we've seen and will see in the future past, you know, to see something so stark like this, it's just shakes me to my core every time. Yeah. And you can also tell that with 6 episodes left to go, everybody is fighting for that damn Emmy nomination.
True. Except Charlotte. What does she have? She had that one episode maybe, but
no, she's good. She doesn't need one.
She
didn't want one to begin with, so it's fine. Well, thank you for joining us. This has been season 6, episode 13. Don't make me do the waxing sounds that Sarah Jessica does in that one scene. You know, I don't want to get my leg up. I'm too tired and my hammies are tight. So instead of making me do all that, why don't you just like and subscribe and favorite and do all the things and vote in the polls that I don't fill out, but Spotify really wants me to fucking make these polls. I don't fucking get why. Has anybody ever really filled out of a poll? Anyway, just do it. I'll like you more for it. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next time. Bye.